I thought a very interesting move over the last few days was this situation with Mark Harlan at Utah, the athletic director, who, and I don't know how anybody else would grade Mark Harlan and the job he's done as anything other than spectacular, because he has just been a phenomenal breath of fresh air as an athletic director. Whether it's been the absolute explosion of the football program, what he's done for women's basketball, track and field, gymnastics. I mean, you look at women's softball this year going to the College World Series. I mean, I don't know that anybody can question the job that Mark Harlan's done.
Right.
What you can question is Mark Harlan's decision to pass on the USC athletic director position to stay at Utah. Jake, how surprised by that were you?
Yeah, I think that when, you look at these two jobs, they're obviously very different jobs. Obviously two different conferences, two different lifestyles. Money's probably a little bit different. Can't say, obviously we don't have details on if USC would have offered more or less, but I have to be, inclined to think it would have been more. So, and obviously it's California versus Utah, and I'm not a big believer that every single person on planet Earth prefers California over Utah. I think the state of Utah has got a ton of value. So for me, I wasn't necessarily surprised, but I do believe that, if you're going to choose to stay at Utah and therefore choose to stay in the Pac-12, you're therefore endorsing a TV deal situation on some level. In my opinion, you wouldn't stay in a conference at a job at a particular university if you didn't believe that university and therefore the conference the university is in was going in the right direction. Yes. I mean, again, I don't think it's hot take guy or rocket science or reinventing the wheel to say something like, hey, if you're going to be a free agent for 5 minutes and work on a renewal with Utah or get calls from schools like USC, you got to take everything into consideration. When I say everything, I want to be specific. I'm talking about day-to-day life. I'm talking about, your family's preferences, obviously your own personal preferences. So when I saw that he signed an extension through 2028, my first reaction to that was, well, hey, on some level, isn't that a vote of confidence in the TV deal situation? Because you wouldn't stay somewhere if you weren't confident in where your school was going. And it very much could be a thing where, Mark Harlan is in a position where he's like, hey, my family's happy here. I'm happy here. So no matter what happens with the TV deal, I'm going to be good either way. But I just think that Mark Harlan's done too good of a job at Utah to not consider all of his options. Because when you do that good of a job and USC comes calling as they're going into the Big Ten, that's a big decision to say no to that situation, especially when you consider, the expanded football playoff or the expanded college football playoff and everything that USC has to offer from that standpoint. That's a big no.
Yeah, I think the other thing that is very clear is this story that is coming out of Los Angeles today, where you get this new big bang facility out of USC. They announced a huge facility upgrade, which I think is exactly what they should be doing. I mean, if you're USC, why would you not have a state-of-the-art facility? And I think you look at this, and I'll be honest with you, as somebody who's covered USC, their facilities have not always been, how shall I say, top-notch. But you look at the complex that is coming out of USC.
Look at that, dude.
The practice facilities, and baseball's a big deal, right? Baseball's a big deal. But you look at again, this is an on-campus facility, on or near campus facility. This is a big deal. This is a very big deal. It's something that I think has been absolutely in the works for a long time. And I think when you look at this facility, they're talking about support for all 21 programs to carry them into the future.
Yeah.
And again, with all due respect, I think anybody who listens to this show knows that I support the Pac-12. I'm a huge believer in the brand and the value in Salt Lake City at the University of Utah. I'm a huge believer in it. how did you pass on the USC job? I mean, it's stunning to me. And one of the things we were arguing about when I was sitting on Jake's chest, like punching him in the face repeatedly in the pre-show meeting, one of the things we were discussing, I'm a man, passionately, is that the Big Ten at USC, or is that USC who happens to be in the Big Ten? And I think this is a real discussion. I mean, you look at this facility now and you say to yourself, hey, this is a mammoth development at USC. Let's keep this in mind. They're not in Westwood or Beverly Hills. They're in South Central Los Angeles. That's where USC's campus is. And this facility is unbelievable when you look at what USC is building. And I bring this up because all of this broke today. And I say to myself, man, yeah, Utah's got great facilities. But this is USC. And with all due respect to Utah, and I mean no slight, this is USC.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, if you are Mark Harlan and you're the University of Utah Athletics, I think you absolutely just got a fist bump with the Pac-12. You said, hey, we believe in you. We're staying here. Because if you truly had questions at Utah, if you did not believe in the veracity of the things coming from your commissioner, George Gliavkov, and if you did not buy into, hey, we're going to get a TV deal on level with the Big 12, I think you have to take that job. Mm-hmm. Because most certainly during the interview process, Mark Harlan was well aware this announcement was coming today.
Right.
There's no question about that. So I am really surprised that Mark Harlan passed on USC.
Yeah, and that's why I say I think it's fair and reasonable to say something like, hey, this is a vote of confidence, not only in the Pac-12, of course, but in the TV deal situation, and obviously in the University of Utah and Taylor Randall. I mean, again, I think, there's a lot that goes into these decisions, but I just don't think a guy of, like, if this was somebody who was just average, who was just mediocre, who was just at an athletic program that was just kind of mulling along, that was just kind of average, not really doing anything, I'd be like, well, he just wanted job stability. He just wanted to stay where he was, didn't want to go anywhere.
Sure.
But that's not what this is. This is Mark Harlan, bro. This guy knows how to operate. This guy's got an athletic program that is going the absolute right direction. The whole up and to the right thing, like that's what's happening at Utah. So for me, I just think it is absolutely a vote of confidence in the Pac-12, and it makes me wonder, hey, does Mark Harlan and by extension Taylor Randall already know what the TV deal looks like?
Yeah.
Like I'm curious where they're at in the information pipeline.
And I'll go back to what we talked about when we talked to our sources in Salt Lake about the University of Utah. They straight up told us, hey, man, it's no slight to the Big 12, which, by the way, hold on to that chunk of gristle for a minute because I want to talk about this step down to the Big 12. But the people we talked to in Salt Lake at the University of Utah told us point blank, we have a lot of respect for the Big 12. It is no slight. We just really enjoy the relationship that we have with the remaining 9 members. We believe as a group we are formidable and strong, and we believe that we need to give George Gliavkov a chance to do the job that he was given.
Yeah.
And we have been reporting exclusively on this show that Taylor Randall, the president at Utah, has been a peacemaker throughout the process. He has been preaching patience and opportunity. And I just think Utah is wholly committed to their current partners in the Pac-12. For better or for worse, for their long-term prosperity or demise, that's yet to be determined. Utah's committed to the other 9 members of the conference. Mm-hmm. And when your athletic director has a chance, and I don't mean to keep going back to this, but dudes, you look at this tweet from SC football. That is USC football right there, dude. Look at the practice facility. They're talking about rooftop hospitality. They're talking about lounges and like VIP areas. And you're talking about an institution that is wholly committed to the absolute prosperity of their athletes.
Yeah, absolutely. Finding any way they can to make money, in their athletic program. And again, this is what I talk about all the time. Like, I know we have this conversation, repeatedly with, Brett Yormark and the Big 12 and all the things they're doing. But this to me is right up that same alley where you're basically saying, hey, like, okay, yeah, we've got a football team and we've got a practice facility where they practice. But at that same time, essentially, we're playing football. Okay, so how do we make money on that? Anytime they strap up the pads and they're on the football field and Lincoln Riley's blowing the whistle, how can we make money on that? And that's why I love this, because it's like, okay, yeah, obviously the facility is way nicer. Obviously, it's beautiful. It's everything you would ever want as a football player and, frankly, as an SC fan.
Yes.
But the idea that you would have things like rooftop lounging and ways for people to spend money, because that's how I like to word it. You're giving people a chance to spend their money in your facility. It may not be that you're selling a hot dog, but maybe it's merch. Maybe it's like a bunch of other things. I don't know.
Breaking news, actually, on this exact topic. Mark Harlan just tweeted, extremely honored, humbled, and grateful to President U of U and the Board of Trustees who share the vision of succeeding in all we do with tremendous integrity. We have elite students, coaches, and staff supported by a passionate community. This is our home, and we're just getting started.
There you go.
And you know what? I think, listen, again, if you're a fan of the Pac-12, if you're a Utah guy, or up there they say if you're a Utah man, if you're a fan of the Pac-12, this is a huge boost of confidence.
Yes.
This is because I'm telling you, Utah is an integral part of the Pac-12. They're absolutely an important. I don't even know if you lost Utah. I think if you lost Utah, this conference would be in a very difficult position.
Mm-hmm.
Very difficult position. I'm not just talking about football. Like, I think Utah is a linchpin in this conference. To have the athletic director at Utah say no to USC, sign a contract extension at Utah, is nothing short of one of the greatest saves that we've seen in college sports history.
Mm-hmm.
Because not only did USC gut this conference, not only did USC cut the knees out on this conference, destroy the foundation of this conference,
mm-hmm.
take Southern California away from this conference, take recruits in mass away from this conference, take dollars, ad partners, everything that is important and makes up the absolute air and blood that you need to survive.
Facts.
SC and UCLA took that to the Big Ten. The idea that they would go and get who I think is the best athletic director in this conference, Mark Harlan at Utah, that SC would steal him would have absolutely been nails through your testicles, dude. Like, the pain of the pain.
Right.
Because this cat, Mark Harlan, I can only say it so many times, is an elite administrator, an elite leader,
Facts.
an elite representative. To have lost him to USC would have been catastrophic. Absolutely catastrophic to the conference and to the University of Utah.
Yeah.
Because what he's done, forget football in the back-to-back Pac-12 championships and the back-to-back Rose Bowl appearances. Forget all that. The softball team just went to the College World Series. The Red Rocks are as strong as they have ever been. The women's basketball team is as good as it has ever been. You look at the secondary sports. I sat 3 seats away from Mark Harlan at the regional and the super regional. Like, Mark Harlan is invested in this university at Utah. Salt Lake City has never had a better manager. And the growth and the acceleration, I could go on and on and on. This was a huge save by the University of Utah. And I don't know if it was about money. I don't know if it was about stability. But the other thing that I will say is Mark Harlan's a man of integrity. And the idea, because I don't know many athletic directors who would push off the overtures of a 6-foot blonde who's ready to absolutely dump truck you.
I want it.
I mean, a thirsty honey at USC. To turn that down is really difficult. To say no to the University of Southern California when you're on the verge of probably a dynasty and huge money. You said no. I'm staying at Utah.
Yeah.
And I think that is absolutely, positively a vote of confidence, a fist bump, a bro hug, a dap up to the Pac-12.
Yes.
I don't know any other way to say it.
Yep.
I truly do not.
Yep.
Because you walked away from brand new facilities to support all 21 sports at USC.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It is absolutely incredible.
Yep. Totally agree.
Did he walk away from the Big Ten or did he walk away from USC?
I think that he decided to stay home. I don't know what he walked away from. I think he probably walked away from SC. I think that the conference portion of it, it's hard to say because it's such a philosophical question. For the last couple of weeks, we've been going round and round in the Pac-12 about the different, mindsets on this conference situation, this TV deal situation with these administrators. And so, to sign an extension, to then tweet about that extension in the way that he did in such a positive fashion, which, obviously I would expect him to tweet something, but, you didn't have to say what he said here. And I think, that's what I kind of notice is the little details. Like he could have just said, thrilled to continue at Utah, like just a basic ass, no effort type tweet. He could have just done that, but instead, look at what he's talking about here. Students, coaches, staffs, Taylor Randall, like all this great stuff. And so it's like, all right, well, did he walk away from SC or did he walk away from the conference? In my opinion, you probably you weren't walking away from either of those. You were more in the mindset of, hey, I just want to stay here. I'm happy here. I'm not trying to I'm not too interested in looking at other opportunities, but it brings me right back to, again, as soon as I say that, it brings me right back to, what do you mean you're not interested in USC? Like,
that's a big deal.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's one of those gigs. We're not, for everybody yesterday, we're not talking about Cincinnati. We're not talking about San Diego State.
Easy.
Right? We're talking about SC. We're talking about a program that no longer is living off of Pete Carroll and Reggie Bush, but is now living off Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams. And I think that's a huge step forward for them. So who's he walking away from? I don't know if he's walking away from anything. I think the guy just likes where he is and wanted to go another couple of years.
I think this is... Oh, I totally disagree. I 100% disagree. What I think Mark Harlan did here was send a message. Because let's get clear on a couple of things. Mark Harlan's not just some dude who isn't on Twitter and, doesn't... Mark Harlan's dialed.
Hey, guys.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going anywhere. Like, give me a break. Like...
Sign an extension.
Mark Harlan didn't do anything but say, I'm not a sellout.
Yeah.
I'm a Utah man. And look, I get it. Life in Salt Lake City is, having spent a lot of my life in Salt Lake City, it's spectacular. It's really tough to beat it. I understand all of the lifestyle stuff. This was not that.
Yeah.
This was not a paycheck. This was, I'm Mark Harlan and I'm not going to sell out.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go chase the paycheck. I feel like, and I could be wrong about this, and if I'm making too much out of it, please feel free to step up and tell me that. I feel like this is Live Golf versus the PGA. I feel like this is, hey, you Fs in the Big Ten and you think you're all holier than thou with your $100 million and, well, that's the college football version of blood money. You go ahead and take that. I'm here and I'm going to stand and fight.
Yeah.
That's what this feels like to me.
Yeah.
This wasn't, my family, and we have this beautiful rock wall with ivy growing up it in the backyard. No. This was screw USC. Screw you, Big Ten. I'm in the Pac-12. I'm at Utah. and I am happily here, and I'm going to fight, and we are going to win.
Does he regret the decision in 2 years?
No, hell no. Because at the end of the day, Mark Harlan, the athletic director at Utah, when he puts out this statement, when he says, who share a vision of succeeding in all we do with tremendous integrity, I'm going to guess tremendous integrity isn't, hey, Carol Fultz, should we expand the Pac-12?
Hey,
nah,
Carol.
Man. Hey, man, no, you're good. Hey, real quick, Carol, Big Ten's on the phone. Kevin Warren wants to talk. Hey, guys, no expansion. I got to go. Okay, whoop. All right.
The ink isn't dry yet.
Hey, Kev. Like, that's not an act of...
Wait, can we put the tweet back up? What was the verbiage? What was the verbiage? Tremendous integrity?
I'm going to say that when Carol Fultz gave Kliavkoff the middle finger and her assistant was like, oh, here's... hey, Carol, Kevin Warren's on the phone, wants to talk. I guarantee you she didn't say, this is Carol Fultz. She was like, oh, hey, baby. Like,
yeah.
She was ready to go, man.
Yes.
When you kill expansion in the Pac-12 and then immediately put pen to paper in the Big Ten, I'm going to say that's not acting with integrity. These are not accidental words, okay? Yeah, come on now. These are not accidental words. These are not accidental words. These are not accidental words from Mark Harlan. We're not leaving. Give me a break. Integrity, like no truth to this tweet whatsoever from Rick George.
Yeah.
What's the difference between that and give me a break? Right? Like there's politicians and then there's politicians and then there's give me a break, right? You see the contrast? Oh, and then by the way, for him to say succeeding in all we do with tremendous integrity was a shot in the balls at Carol Fultz at USC, who he said, no, Carol, enjoy your misery in the Big Ten. I think that's what this was today. This was not, oh, I love Utah and the mountains are so pretty and look at the birds chirping and singing. No.
Are people Myron?
That's all true. Right? That's all true. Birds are cool. Deers and mooses and mices and geeses. That's all cool. Giving the middle finger to USC is even cooler than that. That's not cool. That's gangster.
Yes, it is.
That's what that is.
Yes,
and I feel like that's what Mark Harlan did today.
How about that?
And hey, man, if that fires up the base, let's rock and roll.
Yeah.
Let's rock and roll.
What are our lovely commenters saying today?
Let's go. Landon McCurdy says, Dave, stop already. Nobody can take your comments seriously. Oh, boy.
Who's Dave?
What did Dave say? Dave said he will take Utah to the G5.
Sure.
Dave says they are taking a huge leap. I think I take the LA traffic. Well, that's why you're not the athletic director at Utah.
Agreed.
Right? Hero75 gives us $5 to say, I would bet that part of the reason the USC facilities upgrade is due in part to the LA Olympics coming in 2028. Who cares? Who cares? By the way, if it was Olympic buildings, would it have SC branding everywhere? Right? Like, I mean, I don't think, dudes.
Yeah, I don't think that has to do with the Olympics.
Do you understand the money that USC has? Do you understand the boosters and the support that they have? They have one of the great campus atmospheres. I respectfully disagree. I don't think it has anything to do with the Olympics.
Yeah.
And if it helps the Olympic movement, that's great. Or if it helps facilitate the games, that's great. Big Bad Brass Ball says, are you kidding me? That's a huge stretch for you to take. A vote of confidence in the Pac-12, a swing and a miss, Monty. Your takes are usually better. Okay, so let me just recap. So you don't think Mark Harlan, let's say worst case scenario happens from here on out. No Pac-12 grant of rights, no Pac-12 TV deal, the Pac-12 disintegrates. So Mark Harlan is not at risk now. Well, yeah, he's absolutely at risk.
Why would you sign an extension through 2028 if you thought the conference was going to burn to the ground? What do you mean, dude? And once again,
Dude.
I'm going to roll this back out at you, just like I've done to Tanner and several other people. Don't come in here with this kind of take and not have a why behind it. You need to explain why it is that you think that he, by signing this extension, that's not a vote of confidence in that situation, the university itself, someone like Taylor Randall. By the way, it's a vote of confidence in the other ADs in the conference, even if you are as crappy as you are at Arizona State. Like it's not, they're not mutual. Like if you sign an extension somewhere, you are putting your confidence in that situation.
Yes.
I just don't understand how you don't understand that. Maybe if you had silver balls instead of brass balls, you would get it, but you don't. So I don't know how is this confusing, dude? How is this at all confusing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Man.
Like I don't think this can be considered anything other than a vote of confidence.
Yeah, I just don't know. How is it any other way? Like,
I just don't.
So let me get this right. So you're saying that dude signs this extension and it's like, yeah, well, the conference burns to the ground. We'll be fine. I'll still make I think it's $700,000 a year, whatever it is, right? You're telling me that's what his mindset was. A guy who is attending regional and super regional softball games, a guy who is constantly on campus, a guy who goes to almost every sporting event. Come on, dude. Be better.
Yeah, I think it is without question. I think it is without question a vote of confidence. I mean, I think when you look at the way that this conference has I don't even know how you would describe it. I mean, it's splintered in some factions. I mean, the clear divide between people like Kirk Schultz and President Robbins at Arizona. Mm-hmm. I think you look at the Colorado situation, and you start to say to yourself, well, maybe Phil DiStefano, the chancellor there, maybe he's not as married to it as we thought he was in their special meeting on Monday. You look at the different ways that people, and I'm a big believer, and I've heard this repeatedly. When we were talking to somebody at Washington State last week who again reiterated that when you're talking as much as a guy like Kurt Schultz is talking, mm-hmm. you expose yourself. Mm-hmm. You expose yourself because it tells people, Ray Anderson at Arizona State saying that he and they have never considered another conference. Well, we know that's absolute bullshit because your president said you've spoken to the Big 12.
Congratulations, but that's bullshit.
We're going through a Board of Regents situation where the Board of Regents, while they may not, in Arizona, the Arizona Board of Regents, while they may not be able to stop Arizona from splitting with Arizona State, a Board of Regents member straight up told us, we're going to do everything we can to make sure that it's very difficult for them to do that.
Yeah.
Because we believe Arizona and Arizona State should stay together.
Yes.
So you look at all these different corners of the conference where there's been splintering, there's been fractions, there have been, half-truths, fractions of truths. And then you look at Mark Harlan today, who left behind USC, stayed, and then you think it's accidental, and this is probably a reach? You think it's accidental that USC put out these pictures today and put out this tweet today announcing their new performance center? And then Mark Harlan puts out this tweet talking about being extremely honored, humble, and grateful?
Come on.
And we have elite students, coaches, and staff supported by a passionate community, and they share a vision succeeding in all we do with tremendous integrity?
Read the tea leaves here, guys. Come on.
I don't think this is a stretch at all.
Yeah.
This is not a stretch at all. Yeah. Mark Harlan's in for the long haul with the Pac-12.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing he's in for the long haul because that's where Taylor Randall is, as we've reported exclusively on this show.
Yeah.
So do you think it's accidental that people high up the food chain at Utah have told us, hey, it's no disrespect to the Big 12, but we really like where we're at? And we like the people we're in business with, and we like the academic money that we're dealing with. And we worry if we go to the Big 12 that we're going to take a significant hit in our educational revenue streams.
Okay. Understand the thought process.
They're all in, dude.
Yeah.
They're all in on the Pac-12. And I say, hey, more power to you because you're probably one of the few.
Yeah.
So I think it is admirable, respectful. I think it's unbelievable what Mark Harlan did today.
Yeah.
This dude walked away from USC. A
And the
significant
Big
money.
Ten, dude.
A significant pay raise.
Come on.
Without question. They've got far deeper pockets and far larger Brinks trucks in Los Angeles than they do up in Salt Lake City.
And by the way, it's Los Angeles.
Come on now. I mean, this is not a stretch at all. And I'm sorry if that upsets you. But it's U.S. C, man.
Yeah.
What's up, big bro?
You don't walk away from that. Nobody walks away from that job. Come on now. Sebesta, what's up, my guy? Says, yeah, USC talent like Lori Laughlin's kids. See what I'm saying? I mean, she's an unbelievable rower.
Well done.
Rower, you know. Patrick Bourne, Colorado says, quote, hey, Mark, love your integrity. We taking the lifeboat. See ya.
Well, and that's a possibility.
It is. It is. Kurt Peters, Harlan knows Pac will either get a deal or Utah will be in the Big 12. Not sure where the vote of confidence is. Oh, I don't think Mark Harlan is thinking about the Big 12 at all. I really don't. I think, and I'm not, you know, I feel like I sit here every single day and defend this conference. You know, like I don't, I feel like I sit here and defend the Pac-12 every single day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it needs me to defend it. I think when you look at the Pac-12, you're a power group of business owners who made huge mistakes with Commissioner, I even hate to say the guy's name. Larry Scott was an abject failure.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Ray Anderson, speaking of Ray Anderson's stupidity, who empowered Larry Scott? Oh, that'd be Michael Crow, his president. I mean, ASU roundly supported Larry. So, come on now.
Yeah.
Big Bad Brass Ball says, don't make it personal. Who's making it personal? I think you're wrong. So what? You could be. I'm absolutely not wrong. The difference is, and we've gone through this on the show, with all due respect, I've had the conversation. I've been chewed out by people at Utah over this.
Yeah.
Trust me.
And the reason I made it personal with you is that last comment is you making it personal. When you want to roll in here with something like, are you kidding me? And this is a swing and a miss. You have no idea what you're talking about, dude. And I respect you.
Listen,
I get it. But
you're welcome to your opinion. You want to. Sometimes guys get into this thing where you want to be right and everybody else is wrong. That's not the currency we trade in here. We tell you who we talk to and what we know. And if you want to argue it, go ahead and argue it. But when I would agree, when you say stuff like, are you kidding me? This is a huge stretch. It's not a stretch, even a little bit, not even remotely a stretch.
If you want to come in here and say something like, hey, you guys are talking about the ACC and UNC and Virginia, are you kidding me? Okay. We don't live there. I don't know people. We don't know people at UNC or Virginia. Okay, great, dude. Maybe you're right and we're wrong. But you're not going to come in here and say something like, are you kidding me? When we live in this state, we know people at that university, and we talk to people at that university on a weekly basis. So don't come in here and complain that I'm making it personal after you made it personal. That's the difference on this show. You're not getting a free pass when you come in that way. Now, if you want to say something like, hey, respectfully, I kind of disagree with you guys. Like, I think, I don't think that this is a vote of confidence. And give your take. Okay, cool. I'm good with that. We can have that conversation.
But you do things like Monty talkers are likely very wrong, indicating Harlan staying at AD at Utah means the Pac is saved.
Who said the Pac was saved? Nobody said the Pac was saved.
Who said the Pac was saved? See, like this is what happens on a regular basis. Like, and it's Pac-12 fans and Big 12 fans who you guys it's politics to you. You can't have like diverging opinions, which drives me crazy. Nobody said that this indicates the Pac-12 was saved. I have no idea what show you got that from, but that clearly was not us.
What did we say?
Yeah.
We said, hey, if you're going to sign an extension in a conference that has a pretty grim TV distribution deal outlook right now, that's a vote of confidence in that grim outlook. That's what it is. That's what we said. Nobody said that the Pac is saved or
No.
that Jesus Christ rolled up. Like, nobody said that, man. That's
I don't know where you're getting that. Let's see. Is a vote of confidence in University of Utah? They know if the Pac-12 burns down, they will land somewhere. I think that's probably that's absolutely
That's a fair take.
could be the truth.
Yeah.
I think when you look at Mark Harlan and you look at the fact that you just don't. This is like somebody turning down the athletic director at Oklahoma. Or Alabama or Georgia or the best athletic programs in the country. I mean,
It's Kalani not going to Washington and staying at BYU.
It's unheard of. When you're offered the job as athletic director at USC,
Yeah.
you don't turn that down. They can have their pick of people. And now he's turned into a disgrace, Bone has. But you hired a guy who did unprecedented things at Cincinnati. Turned out to be a terrible human being.
Yeah, seriously.
But that guy's not staying at Cincinnati to pass on SC. You just don't do that.
On to Cincinnati.
To me, I think it's crazy that Harlan turned that job down.
Mm-hmm.
Just on if you were advising Mark Harlan at Utah, you wouldn't turn that down.
Just a career arc alone.
Yeah, you absolutely would not do that.
Take all the feelings out of it. If you just said to somebody who was at a P5 in any conference in the country, and you said, "Hey, and take the USC nameplate off of it because these are the facts. Hey, we're a national championship contending football team right now. Say less. Say less. I don't care what basketball is doing. Don't care what baseball is doing. Don't care what the rowing team is doing. And definitely don't care what any other sport is doing. If your football team is national championship game good, and you're someone looking at taking the athletic director job over that football team, all you have to do is make sure the other sports are just reasonable. They don't have to go to super regionals like the Utah softball team did. They don't have to, go deep into a tournament like the women's basketball team did. They don't have to go out and win insane things like the Red Rocks did, but yet they did at Utah. And that's why I'm saying, man, this is if you think that this is not a vote of confidence in the Pac-12 and obviously in Utah, I just don't know what world you live in, man.
Yeah, it's a job that everybody, every athletic administrator in the country would take that job.
Every one of them.
Apparently not everyone, right? I don't
even disagree with the Brandon Butler take. Hey, maybe he took the job because there's a lot of security in hey, if the Pac-12 thing doesn't work out, we'll go to the Big. But again, that just kind of makes my point. It's a vote of confidence in, at a minimum, Utah's situation. There's no getting around that.
Yep. Immaculate says, wasn't it just like a matter of days ago that watching this show would see these two saying that going to the Big 12 was inevitable? Well, no, I don't think we've ever, because I still maintain, I don't think a single one of these schools wants to leave the conference. And I'll just keep saying that. I don't think a single one of these 10 remaining members in the Pac-12 wants to leave the conference, because any of them could have already. Mm-hmm. Any of them could have made the announcement, hey, a year from now, we're going to the Big 12. Very easily and without much distress, and really nobody would be surprised. If Colorado had already announced it, who would be surprised? Nobody would have been surprised. If Arizona had joined them, if Arizona State had joined them, if Oregon State had joined them, nobody would be surprised.
Yeah.
They know the TV number. They know the best offer in years in cash that they have, and they're still there. They know what George Kliavkoff is attempting to do, and they're still there. Because they don't want to go. So have we ever said on this show that it's inevitable? No, I don't believe we have.
No.
Do I think members of this conference will leave? I'm not convinced of that. I'm not convinced of that.
Depends on the number, dude.
I just don't think they want to. Because again, the truths are what people don't want to deal in situations like this. When you look at the Pac-12 TV situation, bro, it is June 15th. They know the number. They know the offer. It's June 15th. If they wanted to go, they could have gone. Hey, it's June 15th. You're already making plans. Schedules are coming out for 2024.
Yeah.
They already know the plans.
Yeah.
Man, like they know these are highly intelligent people. These are not people that are, not qualified for their gigs. Again, I would just point you to President Cossey at Washington. I would point you to Taylor Randall at Utah or President Robbins at Arizona. Experienced leaders, experienced administrators that are very good at their jobs. Every one of them has talked to the Big 12. Every one of them knows their options. Every single one of them. So why on earth, if they wanted to go, would they not have gone already? Because they don't want to go. I think every one of these schools is in a position where they are saying, hey, we're going to wait as long as we can because there's no rush. Because if I want to go to the Big 12, I can pick up the phone today, tomorrow, or a month from tomorrow and make it happen. There's no rush. Is there a door that's slowly closing? There's not. So why would they leap singularly? Why would they go on their own? A, and B, why would they move before they have to?
Yeah.
Is it costing them money to stay? It's not. Are they going to lose money in the long term if they wait a month? They're not. Like there's nothing pressuring anybody in this Pac-12 conference, the 10 remaining teams. There's nothing that is saying, hey, you got to go now. Got to go now. You got to go. There's no deadline.
Yeah.
There's no grant of rights where it's like San Diego State, which again, San Diego State's a really good example here. San Diego State's the only one really in this whole conversation. San Diego State's really the only one that's like, damn, dude, they've got officially 15 days to make a $17 million decision. Because on July 1st, their exit fee from the Mountain West Conference doubles.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple. They go from $17 million to $34 million in an exit fee on July 1st. They're the only ones with a real leverage situation on their hands. Everybody else has no financial penalty for leaving in a year from now. So why would they? So this idea that we're talking about saying that going to the Big 12 is inevitable, no. Patrick Bourne says, Monty, you're not defending the Pac, you're defending Mark Harlan. And I don't even think there's that much to defend. The guy is by far the best athletic director in the Pac-12. And I think I could make an argument he's probably top 10 in the country.
Yeah.
He's that good at what he's done.
Case. Yeah.
Oh, he's that good at what he's done. There is no question about that. No doubt about it. I think he has really done some incredible things. Bryce Martin, did Harlan even interview or did he text back saying, yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
it's a very interesting point. That is a very interesting point. Patrick Bourne says, is it a stretch to think that this is a vote of confidence for the Pac? No, I don't think it is. I don't think it is. Because I think and again, I look at I look at Mark Harlan and USC the very same I look at Colorado. Dude, if the conference was burning to the ground and the world was coming to an end, Colorado and half of this conference would be gone already. But it's not. And Mark Harlan is very much in the same situation. Do you really believe if the Pac-12 was disintegrating and Taylor Randall, who is in touch with this conference more than just about any other president,
mm-hmm.
he would know that. Do you think Mark Harlan would be like, yeah, I'm staying at Utah. Yeah, I'm going to pass on SC. No. He wouldn't.
And by the way,
opinion.
for all the people making the case, and it's a reasonable case, I don't think it's a bad take.
No.
Well, he's invested in Utah because, if the Pac burns, they'll go to the Big 12. And that's why you're saying, hey, it's a stretch to say it's a vote of confidence for the TV deal situation. The reason I don't think that even matters is because the reason it's a vote of confidence in the TV deal situation is because he's basically saying, hey, I'm not interested in the Big Ten. I'm not interested in $100 million a year, right? Because that's essentially like whether he likes it or not, you're basically saying that. I mean, again, it's more about Carroll, in my opinion, in USC, but by extension, because they're going to the Big, you're saying that. Whether we want, that's just the reality of the situation. So that's why I say, there are some times in life when you say no to something, you don't get to just conveniently skip over the $100 million part.
Correct.
Right? So yes, it's more about Carroll and more about the SC call and more about the fact that they stabbed the Pac in the back. Absolutely. But you're not getting away from the Big Ten portion.
Yeah, I think it's a fascinating conversation. I do. I think the bravado of Big 12 fans right now, the arrogance of Pac-12 fans right now, I think it's a fascinating discussion because from both perspectives, I mean, I get why if you're in the Big 12, I totally understand why you would be in a position of power and leverage because you are. You have the money. The Pac-12 does not. The thing that kills me about Pac-12 fans is this idea that it's some step down to the Big 12. Because I got news for you, it's not a step down. It is not in any way, shape, or form from the Pac-12 to the Big 12 is not in any way, shape, or form a step down. And the thing that I think has hurt the Pac-12 so much is this just unbelievably malodorous arrogance from administrators, from guys like Ray Anderson, the athletic director at Arizona State, which I think is permeated down to fans, which it's incredible to me that even this idea that your favorite Pac-12 school, oh, they will never talk to anybody in the Big 12. That never happened. Nobody. Every president pretty much is on the record. Hey, yeah, we spoke to the Big 12.
Keep it real.
Hey, yeah, we spoke to the Big 10. And the thing that is so crazy is you're pissed off your favorite school spoke to the Big 12 or the Big 10. That's their fiduciary responsibility, man. They have to do that. They have to do that. Because I still maintain, as much as these 10 folks don't want to leave the conference, do you know how difficult it is going to be to get a grant of rights in the Pac-12? I think it is going to be very, you want to talk about percentages? The idea that you're going to get these 10 people to do anything other than eat themselves alive in a pit fight, I think it's going to be tough. And I think it's going to be, the real question is, are you going to be able to get a grant of rights in the Pac-12? And my answer is probably no.
Yeah.
I don't believe that you will. Ryan Thomas gives us $2 to say Harlan knows U of U will be fine in the money at the Pac or the Big 12.
And I don't even disagree with that.
I think that's probably true.
For all you guys rolling that out there, that's cool. I'm good with that. But I just think that in life, if you're going to commit to something, you're saying, okay, we're good. We're good in the Pac. I'm good here. Like, I'm fine. And yeah, I do think it if you're the guy saying right now, oh, this is a stretch and your guys' take is garbage, well, then that's your opinion. But if you're going to commit to a contract in a conference with frankly an embarrassing TV deal situation right now that's been going on way too long, like you're saying, okay, yeah, I think this is going to work out okay.
How else do you explain, not to be redundant, how else do you explain that this guy walked away from USC? How do you this guy walked away from premier facilities? I mean, absolutely walked away from premier facilities in a brand new massive financial commitment by USC today. I don't know how else you explain it. And
no one's saying the Pac-12 is saved. Stop running it out there. We didn't say that.
I just don't care. You know what, dude? It doesn't matter. Nobody knows if the Pac-12 is saved. Who cares?
Yeah.
If you opinions are not worth the breath that they ride on. You have to understand the dynamic at play in this conference is, can they get a grant of rights? Is the TV deal, which is, and this goes back to Consano's bullshit last week. Everybody agreed to a grant of rights months ago. I just held on to the story. There's no grant of rights agreed to in the Pac-12 in any way, shape, or form. There's not. Have they talked and tried? They have, which is very different than they're done with it, because they're not. They're not done with it. And the other thing that I will say is everybody's asking, I see all the comments about what's going on in Colorado on Monday. Have no idea. Let's see the final draft of the minutes. Let's see the final draft of the agenda. And did they talk about exactly what was on the agenda in detail? Then we'll know. Then we'll have some idea. John Teal, we don't see going to the Big 12 as a step down. It's the knowledge that their fans are going to view us like they took our manhood in the shower.
Well,
but whose fault is that? If you're a Pac-12 fan, if you are a Pac-12 fan, whose fault is it that if your favorite university winds up in the Big 12, that you're going to get smacked for it? It's your own fault.
Yeah.
Because you've disrespected. And the thing that I struggle with is it'd be different if the Pac-12 was routinely putting people in the college football playoff, routinely putting people in the NCAA tournament, Final Four, Elite Eight, Sweet 16, like every year, no problem. Yep, done.
Right. But
you're not. You're not. And your two premier programs in USC and your premier basketball program at UCLA just walked out the door. And you're still talking shit. And I don't understand, like, what is it that arrogance is fed by? It's fed by fear. It's fed by fear. I think Pac-12 fans have real and legitimate fear that their conference is going to break down. And
Facts.
I think you should be scared because I think there's a real chance this could be 6 to 8 teams.
Yeah.
I think that is a distinct possibility. I think if we're really being honest, if you lose one team, I think you could lose 6 teams in the worst case scenario. And really, if we're being honest, in the worst case scenario, you could lose 9 of these 10 teams because I don't know where Washington State ends up. But you should be scared. You should be worried because you're not in a sound financial position such as and like the Big 12.
Yeah.
Who's probably in the next several years going to start writing $60 million checks.
Excellent strategy, sir.
To their membership. And they're not rebating Comcast because you can't count money. Like, you should absolutely be scared about that. There's no doubt. Truck Stop Gumby, USC, University of Scandals and Corruption. And yet, here we are. Pay for play.
I don't even disagree with you, bro. But
basketball envelopes on street corners.
Yeah.
And yet, here we are. Reggie Bush, cars and houses, and yet, here we are. And it would be stunning if they didn't go to the college football playoff.
Yeah.
It'd be stunning. And yet, here we are.
Yep.
It's crazy to me. It's crazy. Andrew said earlier, you said Mark Harlan, quote, isn't thinking about the Pac-12 or the Big 12 at all, but then said it's their fiduciary responsibility to think about those things. That's not what I said. What I said was, I don't believe that Mark Harlan is like, oh yeah, we're going to the Big 12, so I don't want I think Mark Harlan's decision was, I'm not selling out to USC. I'm not getting in bed with the university that gutted this conference. I am not doing that. And as far as fiduciary responsibility goes, that'd be Taylor Randall's fiduciary responsibility, the president of the university. His job is to explore all options.
Yeah.
That's his job.
And it is important to understand the difference between president and AD because it's a very different thing and a very different role.
Ray Anderson at Arizona State.
Yeah.
Talking about how he's never thought about another conference.
Yeah.
Yet President Crow at Arizona State has said he's talked to the Big 12. But you've never thought, like, and Ray Anderson's a terrible administrator.
And we're not the only ones saying that.
I mean, the worst. You want Mark Harlan's the best in the Pac-12. Ray Anderson is the worst athletic director in the Pac-12. Like, embarrassingly bad.
Yeah.
Can't even figure it out. Bryce Martin says, now I'm wondering if talking to the Big 12 was a leverage play. Absolutely could have been.
Another angle.
Absolutely could have been.
Bro.
Will my balls itch?
Finally. Where have you been, dude?
USC has so many scandals. Why would he want to leave a cushy job for that?
Again, another fair question. See, that's what I'm saying. There's
everything
there's
with integrity,
to this, dude. Extreme. What did he say? Extreme integrity.
Mark Harlan today said, to Will my balls itch's point, succeeding in all we do with tremendous integrity.
Yeah.
But now, by the way, all the scandals at USC outside of the pay for play, like the, hey, put my daughter on the rowing team, even though she's never been in a water outside of a swimming pool or a bathtub. The Pete Carroll scandals, again, envelopes on street corners in basketball, all that goes away now. So NIL makes all of that surprisingly easy to forget.
Yeah.
Water off a duck's back. Like, no problem, man.
Yeah.
No problem. Yeah, I don't know. By the way, speaking of which, let's come back and talk about the top 100 players in the NFL. And if you are a high school football player and you want to go to the NFL, where is the one school you are going to go to? Because when you see the top 100, it is not even close. That'd be like going somewhere else for a calzone other than Papa Murphy's.
At Papa Murphy's, we do more than just pizza. We do calzones.
Papa Murphy's does calzones?
Oh, I think you mean I do the calzones.
And how do you do it, Dad?
How do I do it? How do I do it?
Well, we do it with fresh ingredients and hand-shredded cheese tucked in a scratch-made dough.
That's how, honey.
At Papa Murphy's, we make great pizza.
You don't forget the calzones.
Order now at papamurphys.com.